News coming in from the national capital, where we're understanding the Enforcement Directorate team is now inside the Herald House. The seal has been removed. Remember, yesterday the Young Indian office was sealed. Searches have now started in the presence of Mallikarjun Kharge. So that's the big update that's coming in. As I pointed out yesterday, there was a fair share of drama in the national capital because you had the ED officers who in fact had sealed the Young India office, which is at the 4th floor of the Herald House here in the national capital. The Congress had once again hit out at the BJP for the misuse of central agencies. They had gone on to say that this is vendetta politics and nothing else. But today the update that we're picking up is that the searches have started at the Young Indian premises, and this is in the presence of senior Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge. Remember, yesterday notices were put at the door of the Young India office as well, and that office was sealed. As I said, this is on the 4th floor of the Herald House in the national capital. But now we're understanding that the ED officials once again have reached the Herald House. They in fact have now removed that seal that was put yesterday, and now searches have started in the presence of Mallikarjun Kharge. All of this in the backdrop of the summons that were also given to both Rahul Gandhi as well as Sonia Gandhi in the National Herald case. There are three factors to watch out for here. One, the role of the Gandhis, Young Indian, that is under the scanner, AGL under the scanner, and Dotex also currently under the scanner. But first, let's really understand what's happening at the Herald House. My colleague Siddharth Mishra has been tracking all these developments for us. So Siddharth, we're understanding the ED team is now inside Herald House. This is all in the presence of Mallikarjun Kharge. What are you seeing around you?
Well, that's correct. ED teams are inside, and in fact, they were waiting for Mr. Kharge to arrive because the summons from Mr. Kharge was at around 12:30, and Mr. Kharge confirmed the same while speaking in Parliament. Mr. Kharge arrived at Herald House post 12:30. ED teams were already present inside, and we could also spot Mr. Kharge roaming on the ground floor of Herald House along with the ED officials and his personal staff. Ashish Maharishi has got this confirmed for us that ED teams have de-sealed the Young Indian office, which was sealed yesterday because they couldn't conclude their searches, as Mr. Kharge, who happens to be the principal officer of Young Indian, was not present at the time of searches. And this is perhaps the reason that ED had in fact put up the notice that office cannot be used till the searches get concluded. So to make sure that searches get over today, to cooperate with the federal agency, Mr. Kharge is here today, respecting the summons which was issued by Enforcement Directorate, and right now searches are underway. We have been told that 4 to 5 Enforcement Directorate officers are inside along with the personal staff of Mr. Kharge, and Mr. Kharge is cooperating with them as far as documents related to transactions are concerned. Also, the day before yesterday, when Enforcement Directorate was raiding the premises of related to National Herald and the companies with which the Herald had suspicious transactions, those company premises were also raided. So today also in the searches, there is a possibility that ED will ask for those documents, the transaction related details from Mr. Kharge, as he is the principal officer of Young Indian, and for that purpose only he is present inside right now.
Okay, Siddhant, I'll request you to stay on with us. Our colleagues and my senior editor Pallavi Ghosh also now joining us. We also have Anshul who's joining us, and he's in fact is joining us from outside the AICC headquarters. Pallavi, let me come to you first. Vendetta politics, misuse of agencies has been the narrative that we've heard from the Congress so far. This has reached the Rajya Sabha as well. What did we see play out the Rajya Sabha today?
Well, so first of all, there was that whole argument and counter-argument between the leaders of Rajya Sabha. That's from the government side, Piyush Goyal, and then from the Congress is, of course, Mallikarjun Kharge. And Kharge got up to make 2 points. And one, of course, he, like many other opposition parties, also wants to discuss on an urgent basis issues like ED, CBI. But that is not being allowed. And Mr. Piyush Goyal did not allow that. And therefore, the Congress is accusing the government of running an undemocratic kind of a parliamentary democracy. That's one. The second point which Mallikarjun Kharge also raised is that even while he is inside Parliament attending the session, why is it that the Enforcement Directorate has asked him to come to Herald House? Don't they know that I'm attending the session? Again, scant regard for the priorities of the opposition leaders, and we saw how Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge finally had to enter the Herald House. So that's the kind of communication gap we are seeing between both the sides.
Pallavi, I request you to stay on with us. Anshul, let me come to you as well. We did see a press conference by the Congress late evening yesterday. Before that, we saw the top leadership in a huddle at the AICC. Are you seeing any activity around you today?
So yes, the Congress is basically planning to make the protest that they are going to carry out tomorrow a big one, and that is the reason why since morning we are seeing many senior leaders of the Congress party, already coming inside the Congress office just to make sure that the arrangements that need to be put in place, they are all in the line. I'll just try and show you visuals from outside the Congress office. As of now, you can see all these flags and everything of the Congress party are being sold over here, because workers of the Congress party have already started collecting here inside the AICC offices. Because remember, Ridhima, we saw the kind of action that the Delhi police took when Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi were interrogated. The entire stretch of Akbar Road was in fact barricaded by people, and none of the workers of the Congress party were allowed to reach the AICC headquarters. So this time around, to make sure that situation like that does not arise, the workers of the Congress party have already started reaching here more than 24 hours before the protest is going to start. They are going to stay inside the premises of the Congress office for today, is what we are being told, so that since tomorrow morning, whenever the protest starts, they have a lot of people on the ground who are ready to take their march forward. What the plan of the Congress is as of now, what we are being told is that they will try to leave from here to reach to protest outside the Prime Minister's office, which is just a few kilometers away from here. However, they sought a permission from the Delhi police on this, and Delhi police has denied that permission as of now. But it remains to be seen what does the Congress party do next, because they are allowed to carry out their protest inside the premises of the AICC, but they wouldn't be allowed to step out. And similarly, on the same lines, we are going to see MPs who are in the Parliament. They are also going to carry out a march to the President House, is what we are being told from sources within the Congress party. So will that be allowed to happen? That is also a big question. But as of now, what we are being told is that the Delhi police has denied any sort of permission to carry out any sort of protest in this very VIP area. And now we are going to see some similar action that happened during the protest of Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi when they were interrogated. Same scenes could happen tomorrow as well outside AICC.
Okay, Anshul, I request you to stay on with us. I quickly